All right, welcome in to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Thanks for joining us on another Monday night as we are live here. We got a lot to talk about. We have, there was a moment there on Sunday where I was really not looking forward to doing this show because I thought it was going to have a very ugly tone to it because we were cascading and just really sliding down into one really not positive direction. But we do have ultimately a comeback win to talk about from Sunday. We still have to go back, though, and do the autopsy on the mess that was that match down in Mexico. So we will have to do that as well. And then also, we have a special guest tonight, old buddy of mine, Carlos Mojica, who has worked in soccer all over the state of Ohio. He has a book out for kids to just kind of get them educated on the game, educated on the legends. And it's a great item, especially with the World Cup coming up. Maybe you're trying to get your kid to get a little more educated. Maybe, it's for kids, but I know there's a lot of us that go to the game and we sit there in a stadium. And we probably want to give this book to some of the people we sit around because we need them to learn how the game actually works. So anyways, joining us tonight, Brian Biedenbach, Rupesh Sharma. Boys, how we doing this evening? We at least get to talk about one win out of the two matches that we have to go over.
Yeah, man, you asked about, you needed somebody else on the show tonight. And I was like, I only volunteered because we got the win yesterday. Because it's been a long time, man, since we've just watched a lot of miserable soccer and a lot of goals going in. So I was like, I'll jump in. We got something at least fun to talk about tonight.
Rupesh is here for the negative, right?
Sure. I mean, I swear this team's trying to make sure I don't make it to my wedding in June. The way they're giving me pretty much trying to give me a heart attack every week. So yeah, I was worried yesterday I wasn't going to make it out of the stadium during that game.
I mean, that's the nature of teams in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, right. I told you
a
that,
heart
Brian.
attack each and every week. Yep, I know.
But that's the thing. You need to treat them like any other team in Cincinnati and stop getting your hopes up.
Right. Right, 100%.
So you need to lower that expectation. Even though this is one of the top teams in the league year after year for the past couple of seasons now, we still need to think about them as what they are, which is a Cincinnati pro sports team. And that's what they do. So we got to make sure we bring them down a notch. All right, let's get into our opening segment. Our What's Hot, What's Cold, brought to you by our friends at Apollo Home. Let's start with our hot boys. Rupesh, what's hot?
For me, it's all the national team call-ups that have happened. I believe it was 9 in total, but for me specifically, it's the 3 youngsters from the senior squad that got called up to different U.S. national teams. We got Adamar Chavez got called in with the U17. I think they're getting ready to start qualifying for the U17 World Cup. You got Andre Trilla getting called in with the U18s, and Dado got called in for the U21s. And I think
for Venezuela, right?
No, I think he got called in for the U.S. U21.
Is he U.S.? Okay.
Yeah, U.S. U21.
For some reason, I thought that he was wearing. Well, now I got to go back and look at all these pictures. They're posting all the pictures. I got what flag is he wearing? Yeah, okay,
yeah. It's for the U.S. And I think it was 9 total, or going it was 10, but that we'll let you talk about that one later, Jeremy. So, but yeah, it's good to see recognition for the team with so many players getting called into their national teams.
Yeah, no, awesome to see that. Brian, what's hot for you?
Man, I'm going with the grit and determination that this team showed. That it's been a long time since we've really seen that, right? It was, I think, two matches all of last season. They came back to win after conceding the first goal. They stuck it out for a lot of 1-goal wins last year. This year, we haven't seen that fire, that drive, that grit, and suddenly going down a man, it sparked something and gave us something to talk about instead of another terrible loss on a terrible week of games.
It took a lot to go wrong to get them to that point where they were going to start showing that grit, showing that determination. So, no, I agree with you. My hot is the sword pull has returned. That they heard the backlash, they heard the cries. Sword pull to start home matches has returned over to the Bailey. No longer the center circle, no longer kind of just away from everybody. Yes, I think they were trying to make it more about it's a whole thing for the whole stadium, but like obviously that hero shot is them holding that sword up with all the crowd, in the background. And I think they were doing themselves a bit of a disservice by moving it away. So that's back. Not only excited that they did it, prove that they win when they do that, right? That so far a good record.
How many games had they moved it to midfield? Was it just the one
season? It was just this season. So just home matches. Yeah.
It was the 2 home games, Atlanta and
2 home games before they moved it back. All right.
Yeah.
So that's my what's hot. We can go over to check out. We have a couple what's hot, what's not. Before we get to our what's cold, let's go to our man Jose. What's hot? Coming from behind 3 times and winning with a player down, with honorable mentions to Ender Echenike. I believe that will not be the only honorable mention for him this evening. And Jose is going to start us off with the what's cold, and that's that backline leaking goals with honorable mention to Miles Robinson, who's part of that backline. So really just a double dip for
I think
Miles
dishonorable
Robinson there
mention.
in the cold.
Dishonorable mention.
Roop, what is cold for you?
For me, it's the defense. I mean, the last 3 games we've given up 14 goals, and the defense just looks lost. Compared to the last 2 years, the defense is what held it down. But I don't know what's happened ever since the playoffs last year. Honestly, with getting smoked twice 4-0, I don't know. Something's just lost with this club on defense.
Brian.
Yeah. Cold for me is I'm going to start by saying Evander had moments of magic, moving the ball when something got into him a couple times in that game where he did some magic things. But there was a lot of times my cold is him just giving up on the play, throwing up his arms, dropping his head. Things didn't go the way he had hoped they would. He got dispossessed and just watched the guy dribble past him instead of fighting back, getting the ball back. Imagine if he had won a couple of those balls back and the stuff he was able to do when the ball was at his foot in this last match, and he just gave up on the play. Like, I know there's some that are, would say I'm not judging a player or a team based on what I see in 90 minutes on a Saturday or on a Sunday, but body language to me speaks volumes. We've seen it with players in the past. I want him to figure out what's going on instead of just throwing his arms up. I don't think it's a good look. I don't think it's a good look for fans or players to look up to him.
Nah, man, we're used to watching someone in that position throw up their hands and sulk when things don't go right.
We are.
That man, right. In fact, that's an MVP performance according to some.
Those never ended well, did they?
No. My what's cold, unfortunate. Roman Celentano, obviously, we'll get into it, doesn't dress for Sunday's match. Sounds like he took a knock during the build-up to the match in training. And the bigger bummer, though, is not only did he miss that match, but as we head into an international break, it was an international break where he was getting another chance to at least get in the camp for the U.S. He will now not be there. He's already being replaced by Patrick Schulte from Columbus. So that's a double yuck. But yeah, just, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Celentano had this great path to a ticket to the to the camp this summer and to be part of that World Cup roster. But really, any hopes of that happening was going to have to come from something coming from this camp, barring some, a spree of injuries. He's pretty much out now at this point. I mean, he's not really going to get another look. Most likely, he was already kind of on the fringes of it to begin with. So, unfortunately, it would appear that the Celentano World Cup hopes are stone cold dead. They are not. They're not happening. So, listen, that's what's hot, what's cold by Apollo Home. Just when you thought spring was here, hey, guess what? It got super cold again. It was like 85 yesterday. I was sweating. Kevin Danke was just sweating his face off in that match yesterday. It was freezing today. Absolutely freezing. So it is never too late to get your furnace checked out by Apollo Home. Or if you're ready for spring, give them a call and they can get a look at your air conditioner and make sure you are ready for that elusive warmer temperatures. So give them a call there. Call our friends at Apollo Home. All right, let's go with the good match before the bad match, and that is on Sunday, Cincinnati 4, CF Montreal, Club de Foot Montreal. Let's get to our lineups here. Sorry, went to go pull up the lineup there. My phone decided to buffer or something like that. All right, here we go. This was the big one. In goal was Evan Leroux. That was obviously the thing that kind of caught us all off guard. That was the big change. Other than that, it was a back three that looked a bit different. We had Miazga finally making a start. He was there with Miles Robinson and Alvis Powell playing as part of one of those center backs. So you had other options that you would normally expect there. It was Alvis Powell getting the nod, and we'll get into it. I think he actually did pretty well. No one did great on that back line, but he did all right. Echenique and Ramirez are your wing backs. Obi and Buka with Evander in the midfield, and Danke and Jabari up top. Obviously, the Celentano was the big news. No Celentano. You also had we are not a debut, but at least a first time on the actual 18 for is it Morozic?
Fabian
Morozic, who is the FC Cincinnati. He's mainly FC Cincinnati 2. He is a loanee from the Liverpool Academy. All right, settle down, Rupesh. So he actually did get to dress for this one.
Don't make me put on my Liverpool hat.
Oh, just go ahead and do it now.
No, I'm not going to.
All right. Celentano not going in goal. Leroux, when you saw these that graphic finally get posted heading into the match, initial thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I saw the graphic and hadn't heard Celentano had picked up a knock at that point, and so was wondering, with all the goals and everything they had given up, if this was a switch to see, what they had in Evan Leroux. But glad to hear it was just a knock. I wonder if Celentano may have changed the game a little bit early on, if he had maybe one of those or two of those. I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point. But that's the thing that threw me.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you there.
But honestly, I was going to say, honestly, if it wasn't, if Celentano wasn't hurt, I wouldn't have blamed him for let's give you a break. You let in a lot of goals. Let's give Evan Leroux a chance and see how it goes.
Well, that was kind of the initial thought was when you first saw that lineup, you're like, okay, I mean, Celentano's had a bad run of it, but wasn't entirely his fault. Are we making a change because of that? Are we just trying to give him a night off? But yeah, he was hurt. We'll see how long that ends up being. Obviously, he had to pull out of the U.S. camp. They don't play for another almost 2 weeks, so he's got time to heal up. So we'll see what happens in 2 weeks when they're back in action. If he's still out, or if he's back in goal. And in-goal action was needed fairly early into this game as Montreal grabbed an early lead. Carmona gets the ball, kind of just cuts right through two of the center backs there. Miles Robinson being the closest one that you were kind of hoping was going to make a play for the ball or at least do anything, something. Shaka, he gets time to kind of pick a shot. He puts a nice one there. I'm of the mindset that this one, if you look at it, Leroux gets maybe a half a beat late on the jump towards it. He gets his arms essentially to it, but not really. Just on wingspan alone, I think Celentano probably saves this one.
I think so. I think Celentano has that one, but it's hard to say because he wasn't in there, right?
And it doesn't change anything, right?
No, it doesn't change anything. But I thought, I'll give Leroux the benefit of the doubt here and say there was, he didn't see it till it came through late. But then you saw the replay and there was nobody in front of Carmona, which is why he shot that ball. Like it looked like he probably had a clean look. Yeah, he had a clean look. And so I do think maybe Leroux was just a little bit late reacting to that shot.
Roop, we come off of this terrible Thursday performance, and already now we are staring down the barrel of a 1-goal deficit. You were at the game. What were the vibes at this moment?
I'll tell you my vibes. I was like, oh dear God, they're going to burn this place to the ground. I was terrified. It wasn't good. One thing that I heard people saying about that is, it was the shadows, right? Because the shadow was right there, that he didn't see the ball through the shadows because of going under shadow. But to Evan's credit, he said, oh no, it had nothing to do with the shadows. I saw the ball fine. It had nothing to do with that. The one thing he said is the way they were watering the field and with it being shady there, that area was slicker and it just skipped.
Sure, okay,
it might have skipped a little weird, but he didn't. He took the blame for it. He didn't make any excuses other than, they're watering the field a little bit extra, but which I get it, because with that, the way the weather was yesterday, it was probably dry everywhere else on the field. So, but yeah, I was scared.
Yeah, no, and credit to Leroux. He was pretty upfront in post-match media availabilities, kind of calling himself out for these moments, but really kind of saying like, hey, the boys rallied, and I thought it was a lot of good. It was some good talk from your backup keeper coming in there, and having to kind of start in what ended up. I mean, this was a big match if you look at the fact that, like, hey, this feels like a massive win.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a massive win, but it's 1-0. Things are not looking good. This match could have gone another direction very easily. Throughout the match, it was teetering on pure disaster. And for Evan, the backup, to come in and kind of have to be the guy between the pipes in what ended up being, what was kind of a pivotal match as far as just the early vibe and momentum and mindset of this team. I think overall, I think he had a good night. He had a good day at the office there.
Yeah. That's always a hard spot to come in, right? As a backup keeper, but he comes in with Matt Miazga starting now in front of him, a leader on that back line. And I don't think Leroux shied away from leadership on that back line. I think he showed some fire. He showed some passion. He got up in his defenders' faces. Like, that's what you got to do as a goalkeeper, whether you're starting or you're the second guy coming in. And so I was really impressed with his leadership out there.
One person that also impressed was Ender Ekeniche. He delivers a moment of brilliance to get FC Cincinnati back in this match as he collects the ball around a little before midfield and takes it all the way in, slotting it across the goal into the far post. Absolutely beautiful work by him. This was fantastic because you go from just the dread of the world is crashing down on us to we're back in this thing. We're alive. We're kicking. I will say, though, it was, at least at this point, there was that voice in the back of my head goes, yeah, well, this was, though, individual effort. And that's kind of been one of the knocks of this club, is it's often saved by individual efforts. And here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that turn that he pulled, I like screamed out loud in the stadium. When he did, I was like, how did he do this? And I've watched it back 2 or 3 times. I guess he just dummied it through and went around the guy. But that was the part that amazed me. And the good thing I saw watching the replays is he puts that shot across. Even if the goalie saves it, Brian, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think that's coming back out into the middle, and Kevin was crashing the box.
Yeah.
So it was a great. Normally I would scream at that shot, but the way he put it in there, I think if a rebound happened, it was coming right back out middle, and you have Kevin running in for a rebound. So yeah, I agree with you though, Jeremy. Another just individual effort goal that, how long can we keep living like this kind of thing?
I'll take, I'll take the other side of that and say, number one, Kevin Denke, I think, was crashing in. That's what he does best. He picks up those goals that are coming across, the rebounds, whatever. I think that's how he scores all of his goals, right? Most of his goals. But I'll take the other side of this and say, I love the fact that we have a young player in Ender Echenike who had the confidence in himself to beat a defender. It was, shades of like Luca Orashano a few years ago that, look up, I can beat you, and I'm going to put the ball in the goal. If you watch that, Evander's running down the middle of the field unmarked, right? It's an easy pass to Evander. Evander shoots it. Maybe he scores, maybe he doesn't. But that's where the ball stops. Ender's running full speed. If you watch it, he looks over at Evander and keeps on going past his defender. And Evander is like, what are you doing? So I love the fact a young player had the confidence to look at his number 10 who's wide open and say, no, I got this, and go for it.
Go for it. He did. It was a great goal there. It got the crowd back into it because obviously I'm assuming the air went out of that stadium when they went down early. Right before halftime, though, Prince Owusu strikes for what ends up being 2 times on the evening or on the day, as they take a 2-1 lead into halftime. We're back to doom and gloom. Everyone's freaking out. Now it's halftime, so you're just sitting there alone with your thoughts there in the stadium. Roop, back to you. The vibe.
Oh,
that was not a good halftime.
No, not good. I'm telling you, I just sat there stewing. I felt sorry for my fiance that she had to sit there next to me because I'm sure I'm a miserable human being on a good day. But when I'm at a game like that, I wasn't talking much. I was about to have some few choice words for some people around me. It was not fun. So not great.
Luckily though, it wasn't too long into the second half that a great team effort causes the equalizer again, as Jabari gets his first MLS goal, as he finishes off a nice bit of play by multiple guys. It was actually Echenike with the assist on this one, but it was a nice little piece of work to just kind of move the ball upfield and get that thing slotted over to Jabari. So we had 2 things going there. We had finally a team effort scoring goal. It wasn't just individual effort. It was some cohesion. And Jabari is now off the schneid as far as MLS goals are concerned. I believe, I know there was some people talking about this. This is possibly his first goal, his first top flight goal in his career of scoring a goal in top flight competition anywhere. So I think he had just a couple matches in France, obviously a few matches so far in MLS. This is his first one of those, and it was a guy that you needed to get going on the MLS side of things. He had some nice moments there in the Dominican, but we needed him to actually score some goals and some more meaningful, more high pressure matches, and he delivered. So it was just, we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. We are creating, and we are creating with the guys that we need to be finishing.
No doubt. Jabari, he doesn't lack confidence from what I've seen in the games in Dominican, the games here in the States at TQL. He doesn't lack confidence, so it's good to see those balls going in at this level. The first couple goals he scored in the Dominican, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he even shot that, the angle he had. It's a guy that, and he tried it, I believe in this game too, right? He was on the near post and tried to fire a shot.
He right? likes that shot.
He does.
He likes that tight angle shot there.
Yep. And so it's a guy that, again, as a striker, you like to see somebody that is confident with the ball at their feet, taking a shot from wherever. And so to get him going in this match, particularly when you needed someone to get going, I think it's a big step in the right direction for that offense.
The vibes were immaculate again, but then the 60th minute came about, and the hot button controversial moment of the match. Miles Robinson gets called for basically it's a dog so. He gets called for denial of goal scoring opportunity because he's getting the straight red. It goes to it's a penalty because it was in the box. What was that a penalty? Guys, let's talk about it because I know Laurel Fowler ended up talking, or they send a pool reporter, as how they do it. They can send questions to a pool reporter, as it's pulled up right here, and kind of ask for clarifications on like what was this goal, like what was the actual foul. So the responses you see here: prior to Owusu playing the ball, Robinson pulled Owusu, which forced him to slow him down. Great. This allowed Robinson to catch up and didn't allow Owusu to shoot the way he wanted to. All four considerations of denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity were present. And given that the initial hold was not part of an attempt to play or challenge for the ball, the final outcome was penalty and a red card. That is the official response from the match officials. Roop, I already see you shaking your head. Your thoughts?
I didn't like the call. I mean, I can see
no
giving the
penalty.
I can see giving the penalty. I can honestly see giving the penalty. It's the red card that I don't get.
Right.
Like, is it a penalty? Yes, he committed a foul in the box. Absolutely. Give him the penalty. But a red card's where I had a problem. I'm like, first of all, I didn't think you could do a red card and a penalty kick. Didn't they try to stop that double jeopardy kind of stuff? And maybe I'm misunderstanding.
They were trying to skew away from that, where you were causing where there was this double punishment.
Right.
So they were trying to I forget what IFAB and some of the other organizations were kind of trying to lay out of how they wanted it to. Yeah, they were trying to kind of squash that a little bit to where it's kind of either going to be one or the other, or basically where you're not doing both.
Right, and that's where I thought that was just I thought it was a hard and fast rule. You don't do that, and I just didn't understand it. Which okay, but I never thought that was a red card. I mean, I could see yellow and giving them the penalty. I could definitely see that.
Yeah,
for me, it just seemed too light of a pullback. I think Owusu made a meal of it. He then obviously they both kind of go for the ball as they continue forward. And there you have Owusu kind of kicking at the ball / like his legs kind of coming out from under him. So he goes down. I just, and we have obviously the benefit, so does the VAR, of seeing a million replays of this. So I feel like on replay, it looked like a lot of little and not a lot of one big thing. And I feel like to make a call like that is so consequential, of it being a red card and a penalty, it needed to be more than a few little things. It needed to be one big egregious infraction. Yeah. That's just my feelings on it.
I agree. Like, I thought, oh no, here comes, there's a penalty, right? When seeing it live in action, seeing from the other angle, how strong is Miles Robinson? Let's be honest. If to pull a guy like Prince Owusu down, if he really pulled him that hard, he's a pretty strong guy to put one hand on his shoulder and drag him. What it looked like in that replay is he had his hand on his shoulder, took it off. It didn't look like there was a tug at all. He certainly had his hand on his shoulder, and then went to ground, and Owosu lost his balance and went with him, and it looked way worse than it was because from that front angle, Miles' hand is off of his shoulder really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is not. I mean, he's even pulling his hand away as to not continue to drag him down or do anything like that. So I feel like, again, I feel like we're calling penalty in the box on, and we're calling red card. You got to actually have that guy's shoulder and you're yanking him down. The light contact, the hand on the shoulder for a hot second just doesn't do it for me.
No, give him a penalty. Don't give him a red card.
Yeah, you can't do both. You can't do both. This obviously they convert it. Prince Owosu gets his second goal of the day. They take a 3-2 lead. He crowns himself in front of the Bailey. It's a big moment. Rupesh at this point, I think, tries to strangle the guy next to him in the stadium. It was bad vibes, I'm assuming. And this is when it is like, oh my goodness, this is truly going to be a disaster game again.
Yeah.
We tried coming back from it. We thought we had it. The ref has removed our life preserver that we're trying to hang on to. And it's kind of, this kind of had if this really falls apart here, and maybe I was just a prisoner of the moment, but I had oh my gosh, we are really moving towards burn it down as far as this, this guy's job needs to be in question. This guy's job needs to be in question. This roster needs to go. Like, I felt like we were careening into that violently. And I don't know, Rupesh, what was the vibe inside the stadium? Because I know just me sitting there watching it by myself, it was apocalyptic.
I believe anger would be the only word for it. A lot of anger. And like you, I mean, at that point, we're down a man. We're down a goal. It's like, as Jose says here, game, set, match. I was like, oh, God.
How are you coming back from that?
And here's the thing. I've always said we played to the level of the competition. And I was like, oh, my God, what it's going to be like Monday morning, it's going to be just horrible. I was scared. But it was not, of course, it wasn't happy. There was anger. I think a lot of people with Owosu, the way he did the penalty kick, were like, come on, he stopped. You can't stop. And it was, I felt, I was afraid for the ref if he was going to make it off the field after the game, quite honestly, the way he was going.
Yeah, I've definitely been in the teak on a night where the ref was receiving a lot of ire, and I've that thought has crossed my mind a time or two of like, oh my gosh, are these guys safe? Exiting. It always takes me back to when I was this was years ago. I went to a Georgia Tech football game, and there was nothing really egregious that happened during the game, but it was ACC SEC football, brothers against brother rivalry. And I remember we left the game a little early because we were with Georgia Tech fans and the game was well and truly over for them. And as the game ended, literally like the final gun happens, the game's over. And seconds later, we see this white van with multiple troopers in it. And in the center were the 6 referees for the game. And that thing was like, I mean, the pedal was on the floor. That thing was getting out of that stadium. And I imagined that of them just running for it.
So, hey, Lance, when you were asking what the vibes were, I should have said the person behind me talked about, at halftime, this is at halftime, I'd rather go to Costco, and left to go to Costco instead of stay for the second half. And then when the third goal got scored, friends of mine that sit by me, they had other stuff going on that day anyways. They would have stuck it out, but at that point, it looks like the game's lost. They're like, yep, see ya. We're out of here.
Yep.
So people leaving the stadium just like, I'm done.
I never leave early for that reason.
I'm out of here.
Yep.
So obviously some shuffling had to be done with the red card. The game continues, and out of somewhat nothing, and I think partially because you have now a Montreal team that is now just going to think, oh, we can just bunker in and ride this thing out. FCC starts to come alive. They start to find their moments. They start to find their spots. And then cometh the hour, cometh the man. It's Tom Barlow, ladies and gentlemen, as he beats the defender to a loose ball in the box, pounces on it, sends it home. And at that point, you're like, holy crap, we're actually back in this match. It's 3-3. And there was that part of me that said, we actually could probably go for this one. And they continue. You could tell at that point, while early on it was the panic button had truly been hit in Cincinnati, you could see on the faces on the broadcast, especially the goalkeeper, who go take a look at that FOT mob rating when you have a chance. He had that look of like, oh crap, we're gonna blow this. Mm-hmm. And blow they did. Danke finally pulls off the winner as he steers home a flicked on header in the box that gets loose to him, free on the far post. And FC Cincinnati lives to fight another day as they pull out a gutsy comeback win when everything was against them, when the season was literally teetering on the cliff's edge. Guys, how important was this win?
I think this win was huge, right? Because of what I said earlier. My hot take was this team showed grit and showed resilience and showed determination that we've been waiting for them to show. And out of nothing, it sparked. It came alive. So I'm hoping that this is a turning point for this squad going forward, that they say, we can do this. Why do we wait till things look so dark and gloomy and bad? And
sure,
the stadium's going to burn down when we leave if we don't win. There's got to be something from this good that comes from this match that propels them forward, right? And so as much as we want to debate the red card, and I hate the red card, it might have been the best thing that happened to this team in that game because it lit a fire somehow that turned things around.
Like Evan said, in the post-game availability, the team sacked up.
Mm-hmm. Right?
They showed
apparently it was apparently it was the second half hydration break that Pat really kind of like laid into him, like, hey, we this is it, boys. Like, we got to do this. There's the comments. Obviously we've had a tough couple of weeks, but that's the type of result that can turn stuff around. You really saw the grit and just the determination. At the end of the day, mistakes are going to happen. Stuff's not going to go our way, but who gives a crap? I'm going to clean that up. I had a little bit of a poop mouth there from Evan. This is a family show. You need to sack up and figure it out. So, it was a credit to the guys. It was hot. We've been traveling so much, and just to grind it out, it was great. That actually is a great point. Like, this was, if any of us had to go to Mexico for any reason this week and then come back and had to work on a Sunday, the tank would be empty.
Let's ask Jose when he gets home 2 days later how he feels.
Jose's down there now. When Jose gets back and has to go to work the next day, he's going to be on fumes, and that's definitely what these guys were on. So they had to kind of reach down there to that other level, and get this thing done. I got to say, it was a really important win because, as we talked about at the top of the show, I really don't know what this podcast was going to sound like if they fell apart again. If they came back and just still couldn't get it done, as Jose is already he's already beat. He's still in Mexico, and I
think he's on his way home. He's on the airplane right now.
Okay.
On his way. One thing I want to note, Jeremy, is in the post-game press conference, people are asking Pat about, the game. He said, and I agree with this assessment. We had great individual moments, but that was not a great game by the team. So, and give Pat credit for that, because you could say, "Oh, it was a great game." Just give you coaches BS, but he was honest. It was great individual moments, but it wasn't a great game.
No, you had a back line that was struggling against one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah,
and you had a midfield that you have your A midfield out there, and still just not the cohesion we feel like we have seen in the past with the same three characters out there. And then you have two. Luckily you have two of your strikers that started scores. The third one comes off the bench and scores. If there's any big hooray, is that you had all three strikers on the score sheet. And that, I think that's big, especially for a team that sometimes has lacked the offensive firepower. The fact that kind of all three guys are kind of up and running for the season is good. We'll see how well they're running, how long they can maintain that run, how strong that will be. Let's get to our Go Beyond exercise, Go Beyond players of the week. The player that went beyond for you, Roop, was
Ender Echenike. He was the show yesterday, and he was playing right in front of where I sit at the end of the game, and you could just see he had given everything. His tank was just gone. But a goal and assist coming from the wingback position, and on that assist, I think he was pretty much left of center, so he was way inside when he dished it off to Jabari. So yeah, he's my player of the game for yesterday.
Brian?
Yeah, I'm gonna just second that. There's not a whole lot of ways you could go on this one. I'm gonna second Ender Echenike, and I think if you look at the graphic that was on the screen, if you scroll up there a little bit, the heat map there, you're right. He was just left of center. It looks like the only time he crossed over, and he made it happen. So the fact that he scored from the right side, he bumped over to the left one time, slotted the ball through to Jabari, and Jabari put it away. I think this guy last year, to me, was a guy who was fast and could get on the end of a ball, and we were waiting for the cross to come in, right? I think he's grown in confidence from last year. His ball skill, I just didn't have a chance to see much of it last year because he was always chasing a ball. What he's been able to do with the ball at his feet this year has been something that has really impressed me. And so in this game, the same is true. I got to give it to Ender. I don't know why he didn't get man of the match, but he's my man of the match, my Go Beyond player of the week.
Goal scorers only. Winning goal scorers only, I guess we should
right.
say. My guy, I'm gonna go with another person that made the score sheet, and that's Tom Barlow. Talk about instant impact off the bench. 77th minute, you get subbed on in a match that you are losing and down a man, and 3 minutes later, he is Johnny on the spot, is quick to the ball, beats that defender, and just like that, the tide has turned, and this club's back in it. So I feel like he has, for a guy that's kind of that, I don't want to call it the Corey Baird position, but the Corey Baird position with this team, he's come on and made some impactful moments with us. Like he's had some good performances so far. So if that's what his role is I'm going to come off the bench and try to impact if we need a goal. He's checking those boxes. So early on, so far, so good. Those are our Beyond exercise, Go Beyond player of the week. Beyond Exercise is a Cincinnati physical therapy and fitness business that helps people of all ages stay active and fit. They also work with local MLS and MLS Next athletes, and they're the official physical therapy provider of the Manu Ledesma Academy UPSL team. See how they can elevate your health and fitness at gobeyondexercise.com. All right, let's get to the not fun portion of tonight's program. Tigres 5, FC Cincinnati 1. As wow. Yeah, let me go ahead and get your lineup for you. It was there was a lot of questions going into the match of what the lineup was going to be, because remember, they essentially sacrificed last Sunday's match to put out a stronger lineup. And that stronger lineup was present in goal. Celentano, before he got hurt, before his hopes of World Cup were completely dashed. Backline, Hadebe, Robinson, Flores. Kind of was hoping to see Miazga start. He eventually gets in this game. Not enough time for him and his old friend Diego Lainez to really rekindle the fire. Ramirez and Echenique out on the wing, on the wing back position. Buka, Guidi, and Evander in the midfield. Danke and Barlow up top. I guess not really a whole lot of surprises. You could maybe, as I said, you would have thought that Matt might have started this one if you were he came in a little bit there in New England. You were hoping to maybe get a little more out of him and get a longer performance out of him. He does end up coming in at halftime in this one. I don't know how much him playing all 90 would have changed things. I'm going to say probably not much. Maybe that first goal that looked so simple and easy. Maybe he is a little more aware and doesn't leave just the entire goal just left open for anybody to just come walking in and tap one in there. But this game got sideways quickly. It was 2-0 within the first 10 minutes of this match, and all of a sudden the 3-0 lead you had going into this thing was just about salted away. And we're 10 minutes in, and they're white-knuckling this thing, and it was looking real bad real quick. Brian, I was ready to turn it off at that point. I don't know where you were at. I was so done with it. I was like, I've seen this movie before.
I'm a sicko, man. I don't turn games off.
Glutton for punishment.
In fact, I'm at an indoor soccer arena watching my son play with the game on my phone, and another guy there who is live streaming a game the next morning. So he's there checking it out, getting his angles for his camera. And so I'm working with him. So I'm in the middle of three things, and I had every reason to turn that game off. And for some reason I didn't, and absolutely 100% should have. It would have, enhanced my night of watching my son actually play without the defeat of watching Cincinnati. So yeah, man, that one got away. And to your point about Miazga starting that game, I thought maybe he would as well, but now that I've seen him play a little bit, he still looks a little bit slow to the ball and slow to react. And so there was probably very good reason against a fast Tigres team that Miazga wasn't out there starting in that match.
Yeah, Roop, I know you didn't get a chance to watch too much of this one, but
it wasn't I didn't get a chance.
You chose.
I just wasn't going to watch it. I felt it coming.
You were the smart one of the three.
Yeah, I've lived in Cincinnati for over 50 years of my life. I know what happens to us when we get a little bit of hope. So no, I didn't turn it on. The one thing I will say about Miazga is hearing Pat's comments after the game, and he said the team came out and they just were scared and not ready. I don't think Matt lets that happen if he's out there.
I don't think he would be scared and not ready.
Yeah,
Matt
that's what I'm saying.
Literally played in bigger venues in Mexico against the Mexican national team. He's played in Europe. He's just a dude from New Jersey. He doesn't get scared.
But is he physically ready? Right? I don't think scared's an issue. Is he physically ready?
No,
that was my concern.
Yeah, what I'm saying is just based off of what Coach Noonan said, it was like the team came out scared and they just weren't ready to play.
I agree with that.
Matt would have never, as soon as Matt would have seen that, he would have ripped into somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm saying. And I didn't see the game, so I can't say anything. I'm just going off of what Coach Noonan said in his presser after the game.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because that's kind of an alarming comment,
right,
for a coach of a top flight contending club in their own league to go into a stadium in Mexico against what should be kind of your equals, in that they are also a top team in their league, and that the scared stuff gets thrown around like that. I don't know about that one, guys. Like, we can't be doing that.
It looked like they just got shell shocked, man. That first goal went in, and they all looked at each other. What do we do? Then the second goal went in, and then you're in this spiral of, we were up, as you just said, we were up 3-0, and now it's suddenly 3-2 in their place, and it was like everybody was confused. Nobody knew what to do, and then the next couple goals came. We did have a little bit of hope there, right? When it was 4-1, when Cincinnati did put one in.
Yeah.
We thought we had the away goal. If we just lose 4-1, we still advance. And then the 98th minute goal came in 9 minutes of extra time that just sealed the deal.
So you can pick why this hurts more. The fact that you gave it up at the death, or the fact that you gave up 5 goals against anybody.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's all you had to do, is not give up 5 goals, essentially.
It does feel a little anticlimactic to walk out of there with a 4-1 loss and advance in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
I don't care. I would have been skipping out of there had we done that.
My question to you guys is, from what I heard, because once again, I didn't watch the game, they tried to park the bus at the end there, and it just was too long to try to do that. They were just begging to get scored on.
Way too much. I mean, they were taking incoming all 90 minutes. I mean, they were getting shelled for the majority of that match. Celentano had some great saves. The post and the crossbar they put in a shift, keeping the ball out. They were just taking artillery fire left and right the whole match. So it was a miracle that they got to that point. But the fact is, how did we get to this point? How are you? I don't care, what MLS team you are. MLS is at the level, and I'm not even saying this up for debate that it's not. You cannot be going into a match like this with the stakes that high and ship 5 goals. Like, that's the problem. Mm-hmm. It's not that they lost. It's the fact that the bar of not succeeding could not really have been much lower, and they couldn't do it.
I don't know, elevates the issue even more because you were up 3 goals, right?
Yeah.
It's not just you gave up 5 goals in one game. It's that you were on top of the world. You had 3-goal lead in this aggregate score, and that dissolved in 15 minutes or whatever. And then you're playing on level playing ground and give up a couple more goals, which is unacceptable, I think.
But that's the way it ended. And another year, another round of 16 dump out by a Mexican side. This is becoming soccer heritage for this club. Is you get dumped in this round by a Mexican giant. That's just who we are. That's heritage. All right, we're gonna switch gears. That sucks that happened. We march on. It's kind of now a singular focus. I know, obviously, this is gonna be a weird season. We got a World Cup break. Are we doing Leagues Cup again? Are we doing that stupid thing at some point? So we got that as well. It's gonna be a real choppy second half of the season, I feel like, because of both of those things. But by and large, it is a singular focus now for this club. No more needing to throw away a Sunday match in Foxborough because you're keeping the legs for Mexico. It's all systems go in MLS. Hopefully that gets them to get the things back on track. We hit an international break, so we don't have another match to kind of look forward to for right now. Instead, I was able to chat this week with a buddy of mine who has written a book geared towards children, just about growing the game, about learning the game. So welcome in my chat with Carlos Mojica. It's from back in the NPSL days. We go way back. Back when he was working for an NPSL team in Cleveland, I was working for the Cincinnati Saints. Is how we first got connected. We've stayed in touch. Good to see him tonight. He is the author of a new book coming out as we kind of turn our attentions here this summer with the World Cup coming to the U.S. and kind of just the general attention that soccer is really going to grab. An awesome book, especially for that younger audience, that if you're trying to introduce them to the game a little bit more, get your kids kind of excited about just soccer in general. It's called Goal, Awesome Soccer Stories and Fun Facts for Kids. My man, Carlos Mojica, how are we doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, good to have you. So, I mean, I know you and I go way back. We've been kind of doing this soccer thing in the state of Ohio for a long time. What what from that kind of led you to decide to go this route and to author not only your first book, but a book geared to kind of educating that younger audience on the beautiful game?
That's a good question. I feel like I've been lucky enough that I've had different vantage points of the game. Obviously, I've been a supporter like all of us are. I then had the chance to cover soccer matches for a magazine, work the NPSL, for AFC Cleveland, and then eventually with the Columbus Crew, spent 6.5 seasons there, and now I do freelancing, occasionally collaborate with CONCACAF and MLS. And so I feel that because I've been fortunate enough to watch the game in the different from different viewpoints, I feel like I've learned a lot, and the idea here was to be able to maybe pass on some of that knowledge that I've been able to gain for kids, have them be ready for the World Cup this year. And the truth is that when you think of soccer, soccer brings joy to everyone, or most everyone, I would say. And when you think of joy, you think of kids. So it's sort of a natural fit to do a kid's book.
No, that makes sense. Obviously, you look at some of the latest kind of polling and surveys that soccer is more popular with the younger generation coming up than some of the more traditional sports in this country. So obviously it's an audience that is kind of already really captivated by it. Obviously the World Cup's coming up. So this is kind of that time for, once again, you and I were both pretty young when it came around in 94, right? So to see soccer and the world stage come to the US this summer, I mean, how much did that kind of play into just wanting to kind of just educate and bring about just more awareness and just kind of the cultural moment that will await us this summer?
No, I mean, it's a huge moment. There's no way to underscore that. And, I wasn't in the U.S. when the 1994 World Cup happened, and yet I was aware of it as a cultural phenomenon. I remember it happening. I think it's the first time that I actually started sort of paying attention to soccer. Then a few years later, I fell in love with the sport because of the original R9 and started watching. So when the 1998 World Cup came along, I was fully watching, fully engaged. And some of my earliest memories, I moved to the U.S. in late 98. So the first sports tournament that I remember was in that 1999 World Cup that the U.S. women's team won. So for me, as someone that was able to move to this country, has seen the sport grow from what it used to be in the 90s, where sometimes it was very difficult to catch a game at all. And now you're able to watch pretty much any league in the world that you want from the comfort of your home. This is a big moment. And I kept thinking, what would I have wanted back then? When I was starting to learn English, and I would flock to these books that would be about soccer, and a lot of them were it was all written in words saying have photos that weren't as engaging. So, it'd be really cool if there's a kid out there that's an English learner and he sees my book and he flocks to it, and it fosters that love of reading for him.
You and your family are from El Salvador. You've come to the U.S. Now. You've seen this sport grow. Kind of talk about that. You coming from a country where soccer means a lot, and soccer is kind of front and center is kind of the sport. And then you come to the U.S. where, you know, in the 90s, even after that first World Cup here, it still had a long ways to go. But where we are now here in 2026, the World Cup's coming back, and soccer, just as a sport in this country, has grown so much. You kind of being able to watch that, just kind of, you know, what have been your thoughts as seeing the sport rise over that time?
No, it's been great. It's been a privilege to be involved with it. But no, like when I came here, I remember I was just aching to watch soccer somewhere, and because I would play it every day after school. I would basically get home. They would play the Champions League after lunchtime usually, so I'd watch some of those games, and I would go out, kick the ball around till it got dark, then come back in. Then I moved to the U.S. and I grew up in Northeast Ohio, in Medina, which is a pretty rural area. Kids are playing soccer outside of organized soccer here and there, and so you weren't able to partake in it as much as you are now. Now you look everywhere, kids are playing in the street. At least here in Columbus, they'll go to the local like street futsal courts, and they'll be kicking the ball around.
Yeah,
you drive by, you see kids kicking the ball around in their backyard, and you know we have a tournament here. We had the Club World Cup here last year. Copa America not too long ago. And I think actually the last time that I was on this, that was actually interviewed by you, we're talking about Copa America Centenario. So
yeah,
just to see how much it's continued to grow, it's been really cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been wild to see kind of the transformation of a sport that was super, super niche, you know, thrived mainly just in, you know, kind of the immigrant communities in the U.S. And now it is as mainstream as anything. And obviously the World Cup coming to the U.S. this summer is going to kind of send that on to another level. Yeah, obviously in putting this book together, it's all about kind of not only just educating just kind of on the basics, but also just kind of some fun little tidbits. You talk about different, you give facts about different players from back in the day to some more recent legends to even some of the current players. Was there a certain player that you were like, okay, if there's one player I got to teach this next generation about, it's this guy?
So probably the guy behind me, actually, Maldini.
Okay, yeah.
Favorite player growing up, and you know, we just had our first son. I think at some point I sat down and I read that chapter to him because it was important to me. He obviously doesn't understand what I'm saying yet, but
right.
Yeah, it was important to show a sampling of the great players in history. It's by no means a definitive list. None of them ever are. And I think that's part of the fun, right? You know, you get into these debates as to, oh, maybe you don't have this player on here. Why? And then kids can talk about it and have friendly discussions. I remember I would watch Ronaldo play or Maldini play and talk to my dad about those players. And he would tell me, you know, I'm pretty good, but you know, Maradona was better, or Franco Baresi was better, and then it would make me want to look up that player and learn more about that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I know I was that dorky kid at a young age that would get like the ESPN Sports Almanac and just comb through and like read all these stats and figures and kind of learn about these guys that were, you know, before my time. You talk about some of those big names. You talk about I was very happy to see that my guy Frank Lampard made it in the book. That was important to me. If there's one guy from my you know, growing up watching the game, that was the guy. So I'm glad he made it. But you also you also do kind of break down some of just the fundamentals, the positions. So it goes from very basic stuff of just kind of reintroducing for some of those, especially that real young audience, just kind of that, you know, here's the positions, here's kind of just how the game works. You talk about, you know, you are a new dad. How much did that play into like the whole kind of concept of this book?
So when I first started working in the book, you know, my son wasn't on the way yet, but I'd always had the idea that I would love to one day write a book for my son or daughter to read. And so that was sort of in the background. And I was lucky in the sense that the Quarter Kids gave me a lot of freedom with the book. And so as I began to work on it, I wanted to make it engaging. I wanted to have this be a book that you could give to a kid that maybe doesn't know anything about soccer, and that by the time he was done with it, he would have not just a full understanding of the game, but have fallen in love with it. Or you could give this book to someone that already likes the sport, and then they've learned all these things about their favorite players that they didn't know before, and they just keep dragging around with them, like I said, like an almanac. And once the book was done, I knew my son was on the way. I just kept thinking about, man, this is gonna be really cool that one day I can point to that book and say, I wrote that, and I'm just watching him consume it.
No, that's awesome. Excited for you. This is a cool little thing for you. I know this is kind of your first venture into this. Hopefully there's more to come. March 24th. So if you're watching right now, it comes out tomorrow. If you're listening on the podcast this week, it is now available. Where places they can get it? Is this are there certain spots that you want people to kind of navigate towards?
Sure. So if you want to help out the publisher, there's a link. It's geni.us/goal-awesome-soccer. You can go there. It'll have a listing of different places where you can purchase it. If you don't want to do that, it's available anywhere books are sold. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. It's available through there, independent local stores as well. If you do buy the book, please take a photo of it, tag me on social media, let me know how it is. I'd love to hear from you. I'm at cd.mojica on Instagram and Threads. I hope you like it because I spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah, dude, we're excited for you. Excited for the book. Goal, awesome soccer stories and fun facts for kids. Out this week. Carlos Mojica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, boys. I have the link to that is in the YouTube show notes. So if you want to check that out, you can do that. Final thoughts. Let's wrap it up. We got international break awaits us. We won't have a match for a hot minute. We'll have a show next week. It'll be different. We'll just leave it at that. Roop, final thoughts.
I mean, yeah, we got a win this weekend, which is always good. I just want to remind everybody, remember what this team was like those first 3 years in MLS. When you're complaining about what's going on right now. We've had one bad year after what has it been? 4 pretty darn good years with Coach Noonan and with Chris Albright in charge. And so just remember what those first 3 years were like, because this could get a lot worse if we get what we're wishing for. So what some of us are wishing for, I should say. So let's give them some time. Hopefully this can get turned around. So that's all I have.
Also, stop wishing those horrible things on us, whoever you are.
No doubt. Yeah, I have to believe. I am an eternal optimist, and like I said, a sicko that can't look away when things get bad, because I hope they turn around, right? And so I truly believe this game could be a turning point in the season early on for this team. Again, we mentioned it earlier, with no travel to worry about, coming home from Mexico, playing a couple days later, and potentially looking at traveling, across the country to play a Seattle team or someone else in the next round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Like, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's put that behind us. The grit, the determination that this team showed when they found a way to figure it out gives me, 2023 vibes from this team, that Cincinnati finds a way. Cincinnati always finds a way. That's burned into my head from one of the commentators early on in that season. And I think this could be a turning point moving forward. And so that's what I'm holding on to. I'm holding on to that hope.
I love it. I'm with you. I'm hoping that later in the season, we're talking about that team huddle at that second hydration break, and the team talk, and how that was the kind of the turning moment where things kind of got back on track, and this team started playing the soccer that we want them to play, the soccer we believe they can play. Here's hoping. It'll be April 4th. The next time they get on the field, that'll be against the New York Red Bulls on Easter weekend. But that's going to do it for us. I want to thank Brian Roop for joining us. Want to thank our man Josh Dye behind the scenes, helping us out as always. And you can help us out. You can support us. Support CST, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. Join the family. Join the Patreon. Be part of making this, which is just, it's this this small homegrown journalism that kind of helps propel soccer and has for years. I was talking with my buddy Carlos Mojica. That's kind of where we both came from. Both worked at the NPSL levels, where the only people that were talking about you were those that were kind of these independent little soccer loving outlets. And we intend to continue to be that even as we go into the 11th year of this club's existence coming up. So join us. We're on X, Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We're also on Blue Sky for the 12 of you that are over there. You can go find us there at Cincinnati Soccer Talk.blusky.social. I think that's how you pronounce that right there. That'll do it for us, folks. See you.